Most men won't hear this truth until it's too late. But here it is. You are the prize, not her. That single statement already triggered some of you. And that's exactly the problem. We live in a time where many men have been mentally trained. Yes, trained to believe they're supposed to chase, prove, beg, perform, and validate just to earn the attention of a woman who brings nothing but looks and entitlement to the table. Somewhere along the way, the narrative flipped, and now even strong men walk on eggshells in their own relationships. And I'm here to tell you why that's not just wrong. It's dangerous. See, here's the truth no one's telling you. She needs you more than you need her. Not because you're better than her, not because she's weak, but because in the dynamics of real attraction, value isn't just about beauty, it's about power. And you, as a man, hold far more of it than you think. Now, before you rush to defend what society has drilled into your head, take a moment and think. When you're calm, focused, building your life, investing in your goals, your purpose, your finances, your health, who's more in demand? You, the stable, confident, emotionally in control man, is rare. She knows that and she craves it, whether she says it out loud or not. But what's happened to modern men is this: they've been disarmed. Disarmed by media, by romantic ideologies, by the idea that masculinity is toxic and that leadership in relationships is oppressive. So now a lot of men walk into relationships hoping to be chosen by her instead of choosing wisely themselves. You've become a servant instead of a standard, a performer instead of a leader. Let's get something straight. A woman wants to admire her man, respect him, feel his presence without him always talking, feel his confidence without him bragging, feel his protection without him being aggressive. But when you start acting like she's doing you a favor by being with you, you lose all of that. You lose her attraction too. She might stay, but the dynamic shifts. Now you're the emotional beggar. She's the chooser. You become reactive. She becomes the one with power. And power is everything in a relationship dynamic. Most guys never learn this, and the price is high. You see it all around you. Men who are constantly anxious about being left. Men who are afraid to speak up. Men walking around on alert asking, what does she want now? Men who give everything only to be told they're not enough. Why? Because they gave away their value at the start. Here's a cold truth. If she senses you don't value yourself, she won't value you either. If you don't set the tone, she will, and chances are you won't like it. Women test, they challenge, not because they're evil, but because they're wired to look for strength, for stability. And if you're emotionally shaky, constantly trying to please her, agreeing with everything, sacrificing your own standards just to keep the peace, you fail the test. But if you stay grounded in who you are, if you make it clear that you choose her but you don't need her, you pass. It's not about being cold or arrogant. It's about knowing your worth. It's about shifting from needing her to stay to being okay if she walks. That's when the power flips. That's when she starts chasing you. Let me ask you something. Why is it that the men women chase the hardest are always the ones who seem least desperate for them? It's not just confidence. It's the aura of detachment. The energy that says, I want you, but I'll be fine either way. That calm power makes her curious. That mystery makes her lean in. That discipline makes her respect you. But the man who gives it all away on day one, who texts constantly, gives gifts too early, cancels his plans for her, and says things like, you are out of my league. He kills the attraction before it even starts. She doesn't want to be your mission. She wants to join a man who already has one. This video isn't about bashing women, not even close. It's about waking men up from the lie that love means losing yourself. It doesn't. Real love requires two strong individuals. But if one of you is weak, needy and unsure, it will always be you who suffers. So today, I'm flipping the script. We're going to unpack the psychology behind power in relationships, how men unknowingly lose it, how women respond to it, and how to reclaim it without being toxic, manipulative, or cold. Because again, she needs you more than you need her. And once you realize that, everything changes. 1. Stop chasing. Start choosing. Let's get one thing straight. Chasing is not masculine. Choosing is. And if you want to shift the power in your relationships, you need to stop acting like a hunter desperate for prey and start thinking like a king selecting a queen. This is where most men go wrong. They're conditioned to believe they must constantly win a woman's approval. From a young age, boys are told to impress, to flatter, to go the extra mile, to compete for her attention like she's the prize on a pedestal. So, what happens? They grow up thinking that unless they chase, they lose. But here's the truth. Chasing flips the balance of power from the very beginning. When you chase, you're communicating one thing loud and clear. You're more valuable than me. I need you to validate my worth. That energy may look romantic in movies, but in real life it kills attraction and invites disrespect. Why? Because you're positioning yourself as someone who's hoping to be picked instead of someone who does the picking. Women feel this energy deeply. They know when a man is trying too hard, and while they might enjoy the attention for a moment, they lose interest just as fast. You've made it too easy. You've made yourself too available. You've made her the decision-maker and gave up your power before the relationship even began. Choosing, on the other hand, is grounded. It's quiet confidence. It's the ability to see beauty, recognize it, appreciate it, but not be controlled by it. A man who chooses is evaluating, not chasing. He's not trying to impress her with empty gestures. He's watching, he's listening, he's asking himself, is this woman aligned with my values, my mission, my peace? That energy is attractive, it's rare, it makes her lean in because now she's the one being observed, not blindly adored. Let's bring it to real life. You ever notice how the guy who seems least interested in a woman is often the one she wants the most? The one who's not sweating her, not texting her all day, not begging for time. It's not because he's a jerk, it's because he's not emotionally dependent. He's in control. He's selective, and that mystery creates magnetism. Let's go even deeper. Imagine two men at a party. The first one sees a beautiful woman and immediately starts trying to impress her, buying drinks, laughing at every joke, complimenting her non-stop. He gives her all his attention in the first 5 minutes. She smiles politely, but deep down she's already bored. Now the second guy walks in. He notices her, but he doesn't rush over. He's social, calm, speaks to others, and enjoys himself. Eventually, their eyes meet. When they finally talk, he doesn't flatter her. He asks bold questions, looks her in the eye, and holds his frame. She's intrigued, not because he tried harder, but because he tried less. He wasn't chasing her. He was choosing whether she even fits into his world. See the difference? The first guy made her the mission. The second guy made her a possible addition to a mission that already existed. And that's the kind of man women respect, admire, and pursue. The lesson: Don't throw your crown on the floor just because she's attractive. Your value isn't measured by how many women you can chase. It's read by your ability to be still, to be focused, to move with intention. When you chase, you lose that center. You become reactive. You give her all the power before she's even earned your attention. Choosing is different. Choosing is powerful. It means you're clear on what you want. You're not looking to fill a void. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not begging for validation. You've done the work. You're focused on your life, your goals, your growth. And if she fits into that vision, great. If not, you keep moving. And here's the kicker. When you stop chasing, the right women start choosing you because they see you're not needy. You're not desperate. You're not playing games. You're a man who knows what he brings. And that alone makes you 10 times more attractive than any guy trying to buy her time with effort. So next time you're tempted to over-pursue, pause. Ask yourself, am I chasing out of fear or choosing out of strength? Because chasing says, I hope she wants me. Choosing says, let's see if she's worth my energy. That one mindset shift can change your entire dating life. And it starts now. 2. Attention is not love. Let's kill a lie that's ruining the way modern men understand relationships. Just because she gives you attention doesn't mean she loves you. Too many men confuse a little bit of interest with deep emotional investment. She replies to your texts, laughs at your jokes, even flirts a little, and suddenly you're convinced she's the one. But what you're missing is that attention costs nothing. And for some women, it's just a habit, not a commitment. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Some women will give you attention just to keep you around, not because they want you, but because they like the fact that you want them. That's not love. That's ego, maintenance. And if you don't learn to recognize that early, you'll find yourself in a situation where you're pouring time, energy, emotion, and loyalty into someone who's only giving you crumbs of validation in return. You'll think you're in a relationship when in reality you're just orbiting. Her. Let's make this real. You meet a woman. She's beautiful. She seems interested. You start talking. She replies quickly. She compliments you. You start spending time together. But then something happens. She starts pulling away, responding slower, acting distant. When you ask her what's wrong, she says, nothing, just busy. I'm figuring things out. You're sweet, but I'm not ready. And suddenly you're stuck in this weird emotional limbo. You're not together, but you feel attached. You're not dating, but you feel responsible. You keep chasing the highs of the early attention, thinking, if I just try a little harder, maybe she'll come back around. But she doesn't, because she was never really in. She gave you attention, not love. She gave you emotional sparks, not investment. She kept you on the hook while keeping her options open. You became entertainment, a distraction, a backup plan. And the reason you didn't see it sooner is because you thought attention was love. That's why this section matters so much. You need to know the difference between emotional curiosity and emotional commitment. Because while attention feels good in the moment, it's not a foundation you can build anything on. It fades, it flips, it manipulates, and worst of all, it traps good men into thinking they're in relationships that never actually existed. Let me give you a scenario. There's a guy who meets a woman at work. She compliments him often. They go out for coffee. She texts him at night. They talk about life. He thinks, wow, she sees me, she gets me. Meanwhile, she's dating someone else. But with him, she feels emotionally safe, seen, validated, because he's always available. He becomes the emotional boyfriend without ever crossing the line into romance, and he doesn't notice because he's locked into her attention, believing it's the beginning of love. She never lied, she never promised anything, but he built the fantasy from the signals she sent. And here's what happens next. He gets angry, not because she wronged him, but because deep down he realizes he gave himself emotionally to someone who never chose him fully. He feels used. But the truth is, he ignored the signs. Attention is cheap. Love costs something. Love shows up. Love invests. Love sacrifices. Love commits. So how do you protect yourself? Simple. Pay attention to consistency, not intensity. Some women will come on strong early, texts, calls, compliments, even intimacy, but disappear the moment you stop chasing. That wasn't love. That was a test to see how much they could pull from you. But a woman who loves you will keep showing up, even after the excitement fades. She'll be steady, not just sweet. She'll care when things aren't fun. She'll listen, give, and grow with you. That's what love does. You don't need to be paranoid or cold. Just be clear. Ask yourself, is she consistent or just convenient? Does she value me or just the way I make her feel? Is she building with me or just keeping me around? Don't confuse emotional attention with emotional commitment. A woman might admire you, like you, even be attracted to you, but that doesn't mean she's ready to love you. You need to look past the flattery, past the emojis, past the moments, and ask yourself, is this going anywhere real? Because if you keep chasing attention, you'll always feel insecure. But when you start requiring commitment, loyalty, and consistency, you'll filter out the confusion. And here's the shift. When you stop being available to women who only give you attention, you make space for the one who's ready to give you love. So, the next time a woman seems interested, slow down. Watch how she moves when you're not chasing. See if she invests when you're focused on yourself. Let her show up with more than just attention, because a woman who truly values you won't make you guess. 3. Power shifts when you beg. Let's talk about something most men have felt but rarely admit. The moment you start begging for her attention, her time, her love, you lose something deep inside you. And it's not just pride, it's power. No man starts off begging. You begin with confidence, with purpose. You're in your zone, doing your thing. You're not overthinking texts. You're not adjusting your whole life around her. But somewhere along the line, that changes. Maybe she pulls away a little, becomes less available, starts acting colder, and without even realizing it, you start bending, you start reaching, you start overcompensating to fix a connection that's slipping through your hands. This is where the shift happens. When a man starts begging, whether it's for affection, clarity, or attention, he surrenders his emotional frame. He puts himself in the position of the pursuer. Not in a strong, decisive way, but in a needy, reactive way. And what you need to understand is that neediness is not love. It's weakness in her eyes. She may not even say it out loud, but she feels it. And the more you push, the more she pulls away. Why? Because begging communicates this message. You have something I can't live without. That message kills your value instantly. Now, here's the part that stings. When she sees you're willing to beg, she knows she has control. She doesn't have to earn your time. She doesn't have to invest emotionally. She doesn't even have to show up consistently, because she knows no matter how she acts, you'll still be there. That's how power flips. You give her emotional control. You give her the ability to determine when you're happy and when you're not. You hand over your masculinity on a silver platter and ask her to please keep feeding your self-worth. But here's what most men forget. You were valuable before she came. You'll still be valuable if she leaves. Your worth was never supposed to depend on her response, and if it does, you've lost more than just a relationship. You've lost it yourself. Begging doesn't look strong. It doesn't look romantic. It looks like desperation. And desperation makes people uncomfortable. It doesn't inspire closeness. It makes her question why you need her so badly, because the man who knows his worth would never beg. He would express himself once, set a standard, and if that's not met, he would walk away with dignity. But the man who begs, he sticks around when he's being ignored. He tries harder when she withdraws. He apologizes for things he didn't even do just to keep the peace, and in the process, he trains her to never take him seriously. Let that sink in. When you beg, you're no longer respected, you're tolerated. And you might still be in her life, but you're no longer leading it. The moment you realize this is the moment you take your power back. You have to stop chasing emotional crumbs. You have to stop trying to prove you're worthy. You have to stop waiting around for someone who isn't giving back equally. That doesn't mean you become cold. It means you become grounded. It means your emotions are no longer dictated by her behavior. It means your self-esteem is rooted in your purpose, not her validation. The more you beg, the more invisible you become. But the moment you stop, that's when people notice. That's when she wonders why your energy shifted. That's when she starts realizing you're not dependent, you're decisive. So don't wait until you're empty. Don't wait until your boundaries are shattered. And don't let anyone have the power to make you feel small in a relationship you were never supposed to beg for in the first place. You're not here to beg, you're here to build. 4. Emotional control. Shock attraction. Let's be brutally honest. Too many men have become emotionally weak. Not because they don't have feelings, but because they let those feelings control them. And here's the truth. A man who cannot control his emotions will always lose in love and in life. That doesn't mean you should be emotionless. It means you must be grounded. Women aren't drawn to men who cry at every setback, rage at every disagreement, or panic at every moment of uncertainty. They're drawn to men who can feel without falling apart. Men who can hold their center even when things feel out of control. That is power, and power in its purest form is deeply attractive. But most men today, they overreact to everything. One unread text, and they spiral. One cold response, and they start begging for validation. One disagreement, and they start arguing like teenagers needing to prove a point. Let's be real here. This is not strength. This is emotional immaturity, and women feel it instantly. She might not even be able to explain it. But when a man lacks emotional control, she loses trust. She no longer sees a leader. She sees a liability. Men, it's time to wake up. You've been lied to. You've been told that expressing every emotion without filter is authentic. But there's a difference between being real and being reckless. Authenticity means you feel things, but you also process, reflect, and respond with clarity. Recklessness is reacting without thought, lashing out, sulking, or collapsing under pressure. And if you want to be respected by her, by others, and by yourself, you need to stop being ruled by emotional noise, when you keep your cool even when she's testing you, when you respond with silence instead of snapping out of insecurity, when you hold your frame even when your emotions want to take over. That's when she feels something she can't explain. Respect, attraction, admiration. You become rare. Because most men today are too emotional. They want constant reassurance. They overshare too soon. They break down at the first sign of resistance. They argue to win instead of listening to understand. And then they wonder why women start losing interest. Let this sink in. If your emotions control you, she can control you. And when she can control you, she won't feel safe with you. She all feel responsible for you. That's a burden she doesn't want to carry. A woman wants to know that if life hits hard, you won't fold. That if she's emotional, you won't mirror it. You'll stabilize it. That if she's testing your limits, you won't panic. You'll calmly reinforce them. This isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about having the inner discipline to pause, think, and act with clarity, not based on fear or validation seeking. And here's some truth that may hurt. If you keep losing your emotional composure over women, you haven't built yourself up enough. That's the hard pill most men avoid. If you were fully on your path, building your body, your mind, your income, your purpose, you wouldn't have time to spiral over every text. You'd be too busy becoming the man you're meant to be. So here's your challenge. Become the man who doesn't need emotional permission to feel powerful, the man who can hear no without getting angry, the man who can walk away from disrespect without a dramatic scene, the man who can love fully but never lose himself in that love. Because at the end of the day, the most attractive thing about a man is not his money, his muscles, or his charm. It's his ability to stay calm when everything else is chaos. Be that man. 5. She tests you to find a leader. A lot of men take it personally when a woman challenges them. She gets moody, questions your decisions, pulls back her energy, or even flirts with uncertainty. And instead of standing tall, most men start doubting themselves. They react emotionally. They chase harder. They become insecure. But here's what you need to understand. She's not always testing you to hurt you. She's testing you to find a leader. Women don't consciously plan these tests. It's instinctual, subconscious, built into their nature. And the reason is simple. She needs to know you're strong enough to lead. Not just lead her, but lead yourself. Because if she's going to give you her time, her trust, and her emotional vulnerability, she needs to feel that you're stable, that you won't crumble under pressure, that you can protect not just her body, but her peace. So, when she pulls back, when she disagrees, when she challenges your opinion, when she's watching how you respond, it's not always disrespect. It's a question. Can I trust this man's direction? And the moment you become reactive or overly emotional or try to please your way through the tension, you fail that test. You show her you can be moved too easily. You show her she can control you. You show her you don't lead. You follow her moods. And when that happens, the attraction starts to fade. Not because she's cruel, but because her instincts tell her, this man doesn't have a backbone. So instead of panicking when a woman challenges, you stand firm. Instead of begging for her to stop testing you, rise above it. Show her your frame is strong, that your values don't shift for validation, that you can love her, desire her, care for her, but still lead. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't want to be in charge of the relationship. She wants to feel your presence, your clarity, your grounded leadership, even when things get messy. And once she feels that, she stops testing. She starts trusting. Here's the most controversial thing I'll say in this entire video, and it might offend some people, but if you're a man and you want to reclaim your power, you need to hear it. Stop acting like she's the prize. You are. Yeah, I said it. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, let's make this clear. This isn't about ego. It's not about disrespect. It's about balance. Too many men have been raised to believe that if they can just win her over, if they can just prove they're good enough, if they can just keep her happy at all costs, they've succeeded in life. But what they don't realize is that the moment they adopt this mindset, they put themselves below her. And from that position, you can't lead, you can't attract, and you definitely can't build a healthy relationship. You are the prize when you've built yourself up, when you're emotionally strong, when you're driven, when you have vision, when you move with discipline, when you walk away from disrespect, when you know who you are without needing anyone else to define you. That man is rare, and rare things are valuable, and valuable things don't beg, they choose. This video wasn't meant to bash women, it was meant to wake up men. Because far too many of you are living like you're lucky to even get a woman's time, when in reality, if you stepped into your full potential, she would feel lucky to even be chosen. That's the shift. So I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a situation where you gave away your power, where you begged, chased, lost yourself trying to keep her interested? Drop your story in the comments. Be real. Don't hold back. I want to create a space where we, as men, can talk honestly without shame. I'll be reading your comments. I'll be responding. I want to connect with you personally because this is bigger than one video. This is about rebuilding a generation of men who know their worth and refuse to trade it for approval. So, to every man watching, this is your call to rise, to stop living like she's the center of your world and start living like you are the foundation of your own. Because when you move like a man with power, purpose, and peace, you don't chase, you attract, and she knows it.